Yo, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Rotobeast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy. We're to present you our NBA Morning Shootaround for Friday, January 24th. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all of our NBA, NFL, and MLB videos. If you haven't come and checked out our website here at DfsCheatSheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel, and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at DFSCheatSheet.com. So hey, what up, Jeremy? How you doing out there, bro?
What's up, man? A lot of people had a bad night tonight, but I feel like we had a pretty night.
Yeah, definitely. It was a small slate. They can always go kind of one way or the other. So, hey, looking forward to tomorrow. It's a big 10-game slate. Definitely looking like a pretty juicy one. So, yeah, I'm ready to jump in and talk some basketball if you're ready to go, bro.
The great thing about tomorrow, there's one game. There's one game out of 10 that has teams with a winning record. That's it. You got Miami and the Clippers. Every other game on the slate is winning team against team with a record.
Yeah. All right, you ready to jump into this?
Let's get it.
All right, man. So, hey, we're gonna go game by game. We'll kind of just pick a couple guys from each team that would possibly be in play tomorrow. One thing we are doing this the night before, so there will be, some injury news, some stuff that's gonna come out later in the day that we don't have right now. But hey, we're gonna do our best, and yeah, let's jump into it, man. So, first game, we'll start with Milwaukee at Charlotte. So, go ahead and get us started with the Bucks side of things.
That is on the main slate, bro.
I'm sorry, what is that?
That game's on the main slate. That's on the all day slate.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the wrong one. My bad. Oh yeah,
that's at noon. Game we got is Memphis at Detroit.
Oh yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah. So let's get us started. Then we'll go with Memphis going into Detroit to face the Pistons.
So I think that the trade talk on Drummond must be real, right? But you can talk about that. I think the first guy you look at is John Morant. John Morant is the real deal. Price drop over 8,000 to 7,100. Morant's a real solid player. This guy be a real good player in the league for a long time to come. And 7,100 against Detroit, my opinion, is far too cheap for John Morant in this matchup. He's really the best play. And then the second play is a guy that I'm going to keep talking about, and he's off of a price drop well. And that's Dylan Brooks. Had a tough game against Boston, only 5.6 fantasy points. But if you take a look at his game and what he has done leading up to that dud, 52.8 against the Pelicans, 28.9 against Cleveland, 42.3 against Houston, 4.8 against San Antonio. So I think that these two guys are clearly the two best plays. And then you could possibly take a look at Aaron Jackson, Brandon Clark, and Jonas Valanciunas. In this spot, Jonas Valanciunas is a little expensive for the amount of minutes he plays, in my opinion. He doesn't have a proper impression value. If he's between 6,000 and kind of 7,200-300, he gets above that, and he's too expensive to play. But for me, two main guys to focus on are definitely Morant and Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, on the Pistons side of things, I mean, I think a lot circles around if we think that Andre Drummond is going to play or not. I mean, that's a big question mark. If he does play, I mean, he'll be a GPP play for sure at 10.3. If he doesn't play, it opens up a lot more minutes. For some guys like Christian Wood, Thon Maker, had a pretty good game at a cheap price tag. So we got to definitely wait on the Andre Drummond news and see kind of what happens there. But some guys I think definitely you can look at either way. Derrick Rose, I mean, 6,900, yes. But now that Reggie Jackson has come back, we're thinking that he's going to get some minutes from Rose. He may get a couple, but hey, Rose is playing very well. He has 10 straight games of at least scoring 20 real life points, and he's definitely doing a little bit of everything, filling up the stat sheet. So at 6,900, if he's going to continue to play starter minutes, then he definitely is in play. And then they're going to try to work Reggie Jackson back in at 4,000. I think is a pretty cheap price tag. Going against Memphis. Last game he played 19 minutes, got you 36 fantasy points. So I definitely think there's some upside here. For Jackson. Outside of that, like I said, it's Andre Drummond. If he plays, he's in play. If he's not, look at a couple of other bench guys. And then Markieff Morris also coming back. He had a pretty good game at 4,300. I think he's a guy you can also look at as well. Moving on, next game that we'll talk about, we got Boston going into Orlando to face the Magic.
And the dud, Kemba Walker's price increases. So evidently the sites with us that he was too cheap. He's now 7,200. If I like him at 7,200, I do like the fact that he dudded in a popular spot. And anytime that happens, you got two options. You can do what everybody else is going to fade the guy with all that recency bias, or you can take the opportunity to get a player in a good spot at ownership. And you don't win tournaments, you win tournaments with a couple of low-owned plays. It's a good spot for Kemba Walker going against Orlando. Not a good defensive team. I don't like the price at 7,700. I like him when he's below 7,000 with this Boston team. But I think there's plenty of fair plays here with Daniel Tiger 900 coming off a monster game. Enes Kanter has been pulled out, so you know there's going to be some more minutes for him. And then you could also look at Smart, but we have to wait and see with injury news. Jaylen Brown's going to play, and Jason Tatum is going to play. If both these guys are going to be out, Tatum left the game early, didn't return, so it's to pay attention to. If both those guys are going to be out, it's going to open up that value for Marcus Smart, and then I roll Brad Wanamaker as well in tournaments. I have no problem rolling Wanamaker out, especially if they're going to be without Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They'll also be without Enes Kanter and Robert Williams. They don't have bigs. But you're going to have to wait and see what happens to the news, because with them not having bigs, Tice is their default center. They're going to be small.
Yeah, I mean, on the Orlando side, I think there's definitely some guys that I'm liking. I mean, I think they're coming in too cheap. You got Vucevic. I love big guys going against the Celtics. I mean, it's something that I've been liking the past couple of years, and I don't stop now. 8,500, Vuce coming off a good game. He's playing well right now. I think he's a guy that you could definitely look at. And then I'm just going to kind of clump them together. I mean, Aaron Gordon, Fultz, Fournier. I feel like all those guys are too cheap. Definitely Aaron Gordon's a little too cheap. I mean, they're all playing about 32, 33 minutes. They're probably all coming in at GPP plays, but they definitely have some upside on that price tag. Outside of that, that's really where I'm at. I mean, I definitely like some of their starters here. They're coming in pretty cheap in a good matchup against a banged-up Celtics team.
And if a Windu was going to start over Birch, I think you can also look at a Windu. Started in the last game, played 25 minutes, didn't have a lot of fantasy production, but we saw what he did just a couple weeks back when he started against the Lakers. So that upside, especially on the update.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, next game we're going to talk about, it's going to be Toronto going into New York to face the Knicks.
These guys are too cheap, man. Toronto across the board is cheap. This is way too cheap. I have a feeling in 3 games into it, the scores tomorrow are going to be extremely high. You're going to need to get 6x plus out of your players to cash, because I'm looking Toronto going against the New York Knicks, and you've got Van Vliet at 7,100. Siakam's only 7,300. Lowry's only 7,100. Marcus Gasol all the way down to 4,700. Even he'll be at 4,000. Powell's only 4,900. These guys are too cheap. Their price tags are cheap. I think you can look at playing all of them against the Knicks. I would caution one thing. You learn things when you watch basketball and you watch a bunch of broadcasts, right? The local broadcasts give you all kinds of information. Talked about them deep dive with Jackson Hayes. Prior to ever coming back, Jackson Hayes is the guy they run out there. He'd only be playing 15 minutes. All of them. He's one of the most popular plays in DFS for a week. The Knicks are not giving up a lot of rebounds. Julius Randle and Taj Gibbs crushing the boards. They're not good defensively, but keep in mind in targeting a big guy. You can take a guy like Marcus Gasol on 4,700. He's gonna play 20 minutes. He can return you 6 to 7 on that price tag. So I think that their whole starting five is a play. I'll throw Norma Powell in that mix as well.
Yeah, I mean, on the Knicks side, I definitely agree with you. I think there's going to be some high scores because, I mean, there's just a lot of people coming in cheap. I mean, Alfred Payton at 5,700 for value, you need about 28. Past 3 games, he's averaging about 34 fantasy points, getting you 6x right there. Had a couple 40 fantasy point games already, so I think he's a guy that you can definitely – I think his game is going to be competitive. In New York, they'll have their crowd behind them. I definitely think you can look at Alfred Payton. Marcus Morris at 5,600, a fair play. I think that can get you 6x. I mean, you're asking for 32. Definitely has some upside. He's averaging 30 fantasy points on the season. Julius Randle, you talked about him, 7,600. He's a guy that's very, very consistent, getting you right around 35 fantasy points every night. Has triple-double upside. And then Taj Gibson, man, he's playing about 20 minutes right now at 3,700. I mean, all you need is about 18 fantasy points, and definitely think that he can get you those if he's going to play right around 20 minutes. He's a guy that gets in there, banks, and puts in that work. So at 3,700, he's a guy that we can possibly look at as a pay down spot. He definitely gets some minutes, and that's really what is your thoughts on Mitchell Robinson?
I like Mitchell Robinson, especially if his price tag is going to stay below 4,900, be below 5,000 at 4,900. I mean, from a minute standpoint, he's playing 20, 30 minutes, depending on night and depending on if he can stay out of foul trouble. That's what it is. He's a young guy. They're trying to play him on the bench. He reminds me of Marquise Chris. Marquise Chris is huge talent, and if he can stay out of foul trouble, he can get block shots, rebounds, explosive. But these young guys have a hard time staying out of foul trouble. So if he's not going
– and he's going against some tough bigs too, Marc Gasol, Ibaka, Siakam. So, yeah. No, I get you. I just was curious.
I definitely would get him tomorrow on the slate. 4,900 though. I mean, I look. The thing I've said all year, we've just started doing the shoot around again. But on the deep dive, my podcast have been saying routinely is Toronto is not the same defensively. They're just not. They don't have quite. That's a huge piece you removed from that team. So they're not the same team defensively. I think this game could be competitive. And Marcus Gasol's not going to pay. He probably won't be on the floor at the same time that much at least the same time Mitchell Robinson's on the floor.
Got you. Moving on, next game that we're going to talk about is – so I'll check some we got Sacramento going into Chicago to face the Bulls.
So here we got some guys that are up a little bit now. Belitz is priced up. Buddy Hield is priced but De'Aaron Fox at 7,900 going against the Bulls. I know paper, it doesn't look like the Bulls give up very, very many point guards, but there have been some really good games by guards, and I think De'Aaron Fox is a guy who's primed for a really good performance in this one. It's a very close spread. The Kings like to run. The Bulls have no defense. They have no choice but to run. So you have to like the 3 here, and the guy that I think we have to eye on, he's maybe a little bit too aggressive for the amount of minutes he's playing. And that's Bogdanović. Bogdanović is going to get his feet back under him. He's going to playing big minutes. He did play 30 minutes against Miami, but he followed up with only 25. So Bogdanović is a guy at 4.6. He may be just a little bit too expensive, but he could definitely. He has 7, 8 upside coming off the bench. So and this be one of those spots. And we know we've talked about a lot in the past where he's kind of a hybrid guy. When he's on the floor, he plays a lot of the point guard position for them. He can get you a ton of assists.
Yeah, I mean, on the Bulls side, we got some game time decisions. The All-Star marketing, though, 5,600, if he does play, he's a guy that's continually playing, 33, 34 minutes a game. He can shoot the ball, get some rebounds. So he's a guy that we can look at if he's a full go. I like that price tag on him. Chris Dunn as well, 5,300. He's a guy that he gets minutes, he produces. He has 3 straight games of getting at least 31 minutes. He got you 26, 30, 33 fantasy points. I definitely think he gives us a little bit of upside at 5,300. Zach LaVine at 8,800. I think you could throw him in a couple of GPP lineups. He's going to be a guy that's going to be low owned. I just don't know, 8,800. We talked about we need to get guys that give us 6, 7X, and I don't know how much upside he gives us on this price tag. Outside of them, that's really where I'm at. Thaddeus Young coming off the bench. He's getting decent minutes, around 20, 22 minutes, but it's just too inconsistent for me. So, the only guys on the Bulls that I'm liking, marketing if he plays, Dunn, and then LaVine is kind of a stretch.
Cornette's an interesting play to me with. Hutchinson is supposed to come back tomorrow. Marketing is supposed to play. They're both probable as of now. That's the guy that's interesting because there's not a real set. Dwayne Dedmon is in there. Dwayne Dedmon is in a really good spot as well. I mentioned him, but Cornette's had at least 26 points in three of the last 5 games. So, it's an interesting play at 4,000. His price hasn't moved. It's only gone up $100.
Yeah, no, the only reason that I didn't mention Cornette was just, I mean, he was getting 20, he was getting kind of steady run the past two games and minutes have been down a little bit. But even last game though, 17 minutes, he got you 28 fantasy points. So yeah, I definitely think that he's somebody that you can look at for sure. Moving on, next game we're talking about, we got Houston going into Minnesota to face the Timberwolves.
This is really, I mean, to me, it's difficult. It's difficult to want to load this game because Minnesota is just so bad on paper. When you look at the rosters, it looks a juicy matchup, or it should be a juicy matchup. Spread is only 5. It's a very implied total for the over under. James Harden's price to me is very fair. Russell Westbrook's price, based on his history over the last 4 seasons, his price is very fair at 4. And Russell Westbrook's playing extremely well as of late. James Harden has not been able to hit the broadside barn. He's been ice cold, and he still finds a way to get 60 points, which is amazing. Eric Gordon to me is probably the prime play with the minutes that have stayed out. He's $4. He's pretty much this man. But you know, I think you could look at a guy on a game slate like this. I think you could look at a guy like PJ Tucker. Only 4,100 is a value play because this is the type of game where it's gonna be up and down the floor. He's gonna play 35, 30, 36, maybe 40 minutes, and it's a game like this. And there's gonna be a lot of missed shots, and he's one of those gritty players that'll get you rebounds, get you some steals, maybe hit a couple threes for you. And I feel like 4,100 for Tucker. He honestly, Tucker is that it stands out the most to be in the spot next to Westbrook.
Yeah, I mean, on the Timberwolves, I mean, it's the obvious guys I'm going to be looking at. I mean, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, 9,800. All right, it's not the easiest matchup against Capella, but the thing I like about Anthony Towns, he steps out, takes some threes, plays some good defense. So I think that 9,800 is a fair price tag that you could look at him. You got Andrew Wiggins playing 6,800. I think there's some upside there at that price tag. He's playing pretty well. He's had at least 43 fantasy points in 2 of the past 3 games. So like I said, 6,800. I think there is some upside there. Shabazz Napier is starting to get the workload now with Teague out of town. So 4,900, I think, is a price tag that I think we can still look at Shabazz Napier. He's playing 30 plus minutes. He's a guy that we plays all the time. Last year when he was in Brooklyn, etc. And when he got the minutes, he usually performed. And I definitely think he gives you some upside at 4,900. And that's really where I'm at with the Timberwolves. I'm not really going to play no Covington, too inconsistent. Yang kind of minutes have went down, possibly maybe in a GPP. But yeah, no, it's really just Towns, Wiggins, Napier for me.
There's only one team I get excited to play Karl-Anthony Towns, and it's the Houston Rockets. If you just look at what he's done against the Houston Rockets, he's had monster games against Houston Rockets, and he's 10,000. So I like that call a lot.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Next game we're gonna go with, we got Denver going into Atlanta to face. We got Denver going into New Orleans to face the Pelicans.
And I think this is going to be a whole lot better than what it looks like on the surface. If you look at records, Jamal Murray's already been ruled out. We know Michael Porter doubtful. We know Paul Millsap's out. We're waiting to hear on Gary Harris. Mason Plumlee is out. So they're going to be thin. They're going to be very, very, very. I think that you can look at all 5 starters in this spot because they are. I think that Torrey Craig and Malik Beasley, they're also in play. Malik Beasley's price is down to almost minimum value. It was up to 4,400 on FanDuel. Joke at 9,900 in this spot. I like spot a lot for Jokic. It's 9,900. He's off the radar here. He's going to go against Zion and Derek. I don't know how many minutes that Zion's going to play, but this is a spot where Jokic should dominate basketball. And the ball should run through him. Will Barton and Jeremy Grant are probably my 2 favorite plays. I'd say number 3, Jokic, and then I would not rule out getting exposure to Malik Beasley and Torrey Craig.
Yeah, man. Hey, this young Pelicans team is exciting. We'll start with that, all right? Hey, did you watch the game last night with Zion?
Yeah, man. I was going to get my 25 cents. I'm missing that stupid layup on his first shot.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I see the first 3 go in. I'm like, okay, had made a layup. boom, next 3. I'm like, oh man. But yeah, no, definitely. It's all about minutes. I'll start there. It's all about minutes with Zion. If Zion's gonna play some decent minutes, then you can look at him. But I think for probably these next 5-6 games, it's gonna be right there around 18 minutes, and definitely he give you some upside, but you can't expect him to go out and score 20, 22 points every night in only 18 minutes. I mean, can we expect that? No, not going to happen, right?
You know what? I think he's a very fair play at 5,500. And I think the thing that I'm so surprised with it is was his ownership at only 5% tournaments. I'm wondering if people are going to load him up tomorrow. Like, oh, okay, he played. Check the game log. They're almost 30 fan points. Yeah, I'm gonna play Zion.
But bro, he's not going to go for 17 points again. Before that, he only had like 5 fantasy points.
No, yeah, I'm with you, but what I'm telling you is that there's a lot of game log watch that only pop up
for sure.
Game log. They're gonna he was he's 29 fantasy points. He's only 5,500.
I'm probably me personally. I'm probably not playing Zion tomorrow.
I'm gonna get exposure to Zion for the simple fact that I agree with you to a certain extent, but what do you play? Play 18 minutes?
Yeah, but thing is, Denver's a good defensive team too. It's not like they're like
they are, but they're going to be without 5 guys tomorrow. Yeah, so
I think you get those Zion in a couple GPPs. I'm with you right there.
The reason I like him tomorrow is because I think he got his feet wet. And now he's going to have his feet under. He's going to have more confidence. He's not going to be so much like a fish out of water like he was previous game against Antonio. I think he'll be a little bit confident, and he was definitely not looking to shoot in the first quarters of that game. He was looking to pass.
Right, for sure. Outside of Zion, I mean Lonzo Ball, man, he's playing out of his mind right now. 6,900. He's got you at least 48 fantasy points. 3 of the past 6 games. So the guy, he's playing very, very well, giving you a really solid floor. I think the price tag is a little too low. So I think this is a spot. He's going to be going against one of the backup guards for Denver. Yeah, definitely think he's in play. Drew Holiday, 7,300. He's a guy too cheap as well. He's playing 35 minutes again. Ingram's a guy that I think you could look at him in GPP. I just think his price tag is going to start coming down. His production, I think it may come down a little bit now just because they got all their guys. Everybody's in flow. They're going to get the Zion the ball more. So I think 8,600, he's a fair play still. The minutes are there, so I definitely think he can do it. Just don't know if the upside's there. We're looking for that 6-7x tonight, as we mentioned. So definitely think you could throw him out there. And then Derek Favors at 5,700. He's going to play 23, 24 minutes. It's a tough matchup going against Jokic. I don't know if I'll really go that route. I think maybe in a couple of GPPs, but I'm not really too interested in him. But like I said, it's really Zion. I mean, Zion is a GPP play. Drew Holiday, 7,300. Lonzo, 6,900. And then maybe a couple of little shares of Ingram. And that's really where I'm at. Move on. Next game that we'll talk about is going to be Atlanta going into OKC.
And a lot of what ifs here. Atlanta, because it's all going to depend on the news we get with Trae Young in the morning of their morning shoot-around. That they're supposed to test out and see, how his leg is after the shoot-around. But with or without him, I think Collins is too cheap. I think John Collins is just deep. I've watched a lot of Atlanta play, and he's getting rotate power forward, and then they're rolling the center spot. So he's playing both. Steven Adams is a little out. I like John Collins a ton against what Oklahoma City will have, which is an athletic guy knows well. I think Collins is a bigger dude, a stronger dude, and I think 7,500 Collins this type of spot, especially there's no Trae Young and then there's no Steven Adams. So he's really my play. You could always look at Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet. 4,900 for this guy. He GPP only play. He's like a poor man's JJ Redick. He can knock down threes. He can definitely stat sheet if he gets going. So, that's kind of where I'm gonna look. If you need value, I don't mind looking at Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. But beyond that, it's about Trae Young. Obviously, Jeff Teague would start. Trae Young is out, and Jeff would be kind of a default value play in cash games.
Man, I definitely like some of these OKC guys. You got a young Atlanta team that like to get out and run. This is a spot where OKC could definitely get out and run. Especially, we'll go to the Steven Adams things real quick. Steven Adams plays at 5,700. He's going to play regular minutes. I definitely think that he's in play. Atlanta's in the bottom of the league when it comes to defending the center position. So definitely think we got to wait on that news. If he is out, Noel at 4,400. If he's going to play 30 minutes, just lock him in, especially cash games. You move on. So hopefully we get that news earlier in the day. And then after that, I think Chris Paul 7,500, very fair price tag. Gilgeous Alexander, I'm not really. I know he's playing out of his mind right now. I guess you can look at him in GPP. I'm looking for some upside. I don't know how much I'm really going to get on this price tag. Schroeder's a guy I like for 2,300 less though. Schroeder's playing, 34, 35 minutes a game. He's got you a bunch of upsides game recently, an up-tempo game. But Atlanta's the team he used to play for before he came to OKC, started his career there. So I definitely think this is a spot where he can have a really good game. The Gallinari at 6,200, definitely, in GPPs.
Too cheap for Gallinari, man. This dude he's like a double machine all of a sudden.
I'll play Gallinari, man.
He's too deep. For this spot against this team and this pace Atlanta plays at without any other big guys on the floor, Gallinari is too cheap.
Yeah, for sure. That's like I said, Paul Schroeder. It's gonna be a very up-tempo game. Moving on, next game we're gonna talk about with the Clippers going into Miami to face the Heat.
I mean, Paul George has already been ruled out. We'll wait and see what happens with Beverly. If he's ruled out, go right back to Williams. He's cheaper than he was against Atlanta. Miami should have no problem keeping this game close. Part of the problem with Lou Williams reaching value the other night was, I believe it was like 37 to 16 after one. Just got on him and just ran him. So, they didn't Trae Young in that game, and it kind of got out of hand. And I don't foresee that Miami will have a hard time keeping the game at least competitive. So that opens up Kawhi, definitely puts and Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell, you look at the game flow, he's going to come off the bench. We know Ben plays a center spot, and when you look beyond him, running old James Johnson out there, Kelly Olynyk is a perimeter type big. They don't really have anybody else. So I think Harrell's in another dominant spot here, and I think that Lou Williams is in a perfect spot to go bonkers.
Yeah, man, looking at Miami, and you got so many question marks. You got, Dragic, Nunn. We got to wait and see what happens with them. If Dragic is out and Nunn plays, at 5,300, he's a great play. If Nunn is out, Dragic plays. He's a good play at 4,900. So we got to wait on that news. Jimmy Butler, I expect him to play. It's game time decision with the knee at 8,700. I think that you can look at him. The only thing is I don't know if he gives us that much upside at 80 that we're looking for on this kind of bigger slate at that price tag. But it's Jimmy Butler. You could throw him in a couple of GPPs, move on. The only other guy I'm really interested in for Miami is you got Bam. Coming off a dud. The guy's been playing very, very well all season. Coming off a dud last game. Definitely going to want to bounce back and have a really good game. I think that he's a fair price tag. And he does give you a little bit of upside going against kind of an undersized Clipper team. So he's in play. That's really where I'm at. Kelly Olynyk, his game, his 3,700, it's interesting. He played last game 21 minutes and got you 26 fantasy points. We would love that at a 3,700 price tag. So he's a guy you could possibly look at. The minutes have been kind of inconsistent, but somebody that you could consider. And that's really where I'm at with Miami. Next game we're going to go with Phoenix going into San Antonio to face the Spurs.
That background looks like we're already in Miami.
Oh, yeah, bro. Hey, I'm loving it right here doing it on the beach.
Look with Phoenix, I think the San Antonio Spurs are kind of in the same position that Toronto in, but they're not as good of a Toronto, and that's the reputation of being a good defensive team. They're not. They're really not. And I think that you can take advantage of that. I love DeAndre Ayton. I don't mind that he's 8,000. The guys put a solid stretch of games there. A little bit of a dud in the crush spot against Indy, only 24.6. But you look before that, and the run he was on, just had 47.4 against San Antonio the other day, 51 against Boston, 58.2 against the Knicks. I mean, he's in a really good spot here, and surprisingly, I think that a lot of that had to do with the fact that Ricky Rubio didn't have a real type game. Booker really dominated the ball, and I don't think that that's the way that Phoenix play. I think they got to play through Rubio. His price is really, really cheap at $5,700 for this type of a matchup. The shooting guard position to me seems like the one that's a little overpriced on this slate. You're talking about Levine at $8,800, Booker $8,600. I really want to pay up that. For Booker or for Levine. So for me, it's really you can definitely Kelly Oubre, Dario Saric. If he's gonna get a regular run, it's a guy you can keep looking at. It's just I don't know if there's enough shots for Saric to make value. All scoring 4 points, 10 points, 13 points, 11 points. You need more out of Saric than that. So for Rubio, it's 8.
Well, it's simple on the Spurs, man. I mean, you got DeMar DeRozan, he's been playing well, coming off a kind of mediocre game. I think it's a spot he can definitely have a good game against a young Phoenix team. And Marcus Aldridge, $7,900, very fair price tag. The guy's averaging 38 fantasy points a game. Against a young, Suns team. Definitely think this is a pretty good spot for him. Rudy Gay came back last game, only played 9 minutes. If they say anything about him getting an uptick in minutes or even playing about 20 minutes, at 3,800, I think he's possibly a guy you can look at as a cheap GPP play. That's really it. The only other two guys, Murray and Derek White, they're both playing about 27, 28 minutes a game at the point guard spot, kind of taken away from each other a little bit. So it's kind of more of a flip of a coin. White's been playing very well, though, at 4,600. You could possibly look at it as a GPP play. But that's really it where I'm at with the Suns, and we'll move on to the final game of the night. We got Indiana going into Golden State to face the Warriors.
Let me ask a question. Do you think Sabonis is the best rebounder in the league right now?
Sabonis is a beast, bro. I like Sabonis. I don't know the best in the NBA though. Drummond, Whiteside, them guys are getting 20-20s.
God, he's just a solid rebounder, man. He's a beat boards. And here's the thing, his price dropped. I mean, he's 8,100 now. He's 8,400. So I like Sabonis a ton in the spot at 8,400. Outside of that, Malcolm Brogdon ruled out, and I've said this over and over this year on the deep dive. Aaron Holiday, if you take a look at his minutes, they're the same, right? His minutes are the same. He's not the guy who gets the biggest boost, and Brogdon is out. The guy who gets the biggest boost is McConnell. McConnell's between 16 and 18 minutes when they're healthy, and then he's going to play 5 minutes plus in the spot against Warriors here because there is Malcolm Brogdon. So, Aaron Holiday's a fine play. 3,800. He's going to start be the point guard. We've seen what he does. It's a really, really cheap price for starting point guard on a if you want to be different, McConnell's the guy who's going to see the biggest boost. He is because of the fact that he's going to get his increase in minutes as opposed to Holiday, who he gets pretty much the same run. His spot notation really doesn't change with Brogdon in, or he just starts. So, I like Sabonis a lot. You could possibly look at TJ Warren, but I think TJ Warren's going to get some John Green treatment in this spot. I'll stay away from that. But this is the type of game that you could play. Lamb, who's a gritty type player, young Warriors, turns the ball over a ton. They take a lot of threes, a lot of long rebounds. We always say, hey, guards and forwards get rebounds in games. There's a lot of threes. So Sabonis to me, I think is the pre-play at 8,500. It's just too cheap. It's too cheap for a guy who can go get you 50 rebounds and 20 points. It's just too cheap.
For sure. On the Golden State side, there's a couple guys you could look at. Definitely, I think you could look at D'Angelo Russell, 7,500. If they're going to be in games, they're going to win games. It's going to be because of him. He's been playing very well. He's averaging 38 fantasy points on the season. That's basically what you need for value on this price tag. So definitely has some upside. Outside of him, Alec Burke, 4,900. He's their second main scorer. The guy's been playing pretty steady minutes. I think that he's a guy you can look at. Definitely has some upside. You've seen he's coming off a 65 fantasy point game against Portland. I'm not saying he's going to do that again, but he's just showing you some upside. I definitely think on, good nights, he can easily get you 40, 45 fantasy points. So he's a guy we possibly look at. Outside of that, I mean, Draymond, I'm not playing him as I feel like he's not really playing too hard when he's out there. It's kind of, he's just been up and down. It's been whatever. Marquise Chris at 4,000. I think he's just too cheap. He gives you a little bit of upside, playing about 20 minutes a game. The same thing with Cauley Stein at 4,200. But, Stein, Chris are both strictly GPP plays. They're just a little cheap. The main guys, like I said, D'Angelo Russell and Blake. All right, bro. I think that's about it. Thank you guys for checking out the video. We got a bunch of other articles, a couple other videos every single day up on the site. So make sure to check it out, dfscheatsheet.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you guys don't miss it out. All right. Peace out.